Have you ever had that feeling where you're going to let your arms drop to start the downswing? Well, what if I told you that if you're doing that, it's not really the best way to create a lot of power? We're going to talk about that idea, that theory, how that can be good in theory, and that swing thought can be good, but only for a certain type of player. I'm going to go over the real ways to create power and have that perfect transition in your downswing. Let's go get started. All right, we got Q here. He's going to man the iPad. I'm going to do one where I feel like the club just completely drops with gravity, and then do one the proper way. And it really comes down to what I would say is the weight shift. So let me hit a couple here, Q, and let's see the differences in these two. The main mistake that I see with letting this club fall completely with gravity, I actually like that for a certain kind of person, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. The main mistake that I see is when someone goes up to the top of the swing, they say, okay, I'm gonna let this fall with gravity, and they close off their body. They don't get any kind of weight shift, and they feel like when they're doing their practice swing, it looks something like this. I'm just letting this club drop. Look how my body's completely closed off. I'm not opening up. I'm not getting a weight shift to the left. And if you do that, what ends up happening is you get very stuck and you lose a lot of power. Because if I let the arms feel like they're dropping here and I don't shift to the left and I don't open up like I should in a good golf swing, I end up from the last half of my swing now trying to fling the arms at it to catch up. So let me do what I just talked about, the incorrect way to let your arms drop with gravity, which would be to not let myself get a weight shift and to get really too closed to the target. Let's go ahead and try one of those out. Yeah, I threw way off my timing. I felt like I kind of let the club drop, and then all of a sudden I'm so closed, I just had to flick the hands at it. It really just felt like very uncoordinated. It felt like my arms and hands were pushing so much across my body. Not really what you want to have, but I feel like a lot of players have that feeling sometimes. We're going to talk about the numbers with that and then the right way to do it. So what was the numbers on my swing speed and what was the general stats there, Q?
Right, so club head speed was about 107 miles per hour, quite a bit below your normal club head speed there. Carry distance was just 241.
Okay, so whether I'm hitting at 240 or 300 or you're hitting at 220, doesn't matter what you're doing right now, that same idea, that same feeling that I had is going to lead you to a lot of inconsistency. You're going to feel like your arms are doing a ton of the work, and you're going to feel like you just can't hit it as well as you know you can. So if that sounds like you, here's the part that's missing with that. I don't mind letting the hands feel like they're dropping with gravity and being pretty soft in this first part of the downswing, as long as we're getting a weight shift to the left and we're letting the body go ahead and start to open up when that's happening. You see, when I let the body open up, so if I go to the top and I feel like my hands are dropping, as I let my body open up, I let my weight get to my left side, now I've engaged my body and I've started the momentum of my downswing. Then in the second part of the swing, we'll get to this later in this video, but in the second part of my swing, now I can go ahead and fire my arms once I'm in a good position starting down. Let's work on that transition here, but first let me go ahead and show the proper way to do this now. I'm still gonna feel like I stay pretty soft with my hands and arms, but I'm gonna start the downswing by shifting to the left and getting my lower body, really even my hips and my shoulders engaged kind of early in the downswing here. So let's start with that weight shift to the left, then we'll fire the arms. Let's try that one out. There we go, much better, right down the left center of the fairway. That one carried over that tree, so I know my club head speed is going to be way up on that one. What were the numbers on that one?
Club head speed 122 miles per hour. Total distance over is about 316.
Okay, so that one, obviously I was able to build a lot more speed. My body and my arms were in sync. How did I do that? Well, let's go through a series of drills here. What we have to do is feel like once you get to about right here in the swing, this is a kind of halfway in my backswing, that's when my weight starts to shift to the left. So a good drill for this is, let's start out, let's imagine we're setting up to a ball here, come back inside of it. Let's start out with our feet together. And what I want to do is I want to start to take a little step in my backswing. So I'm going to step, I'm going to put weight into my left foot, and then I'm going to swing down into the follow through. That looks like this. If I do this correctly, step, weight, then swing down. If I do it at full speed, it's going to look like this. So you can see how my step was very early. My weight got there before my hands and arms started to drop down in the downswing. Then I started my downswing. That's the right sequence that you want to have. Almost every single player that I ever do this drill with doesn't like this drill in the beginning. And here's the reason they don't like this drill. They'll go to the top of the swing, start down with the hands and arms, and then try to take that step forward. And that'll give you the sensation that I got in that first one. Everything's out of whack. I don't have any speed, I don't have any power. So I don't want it to look like this, right, where I'm stepping in my downswing. The proper weight shift in the golf swing looks more like this. Step, weight left, then swing down. So let me go ahead and do 2 or 3 more of these so you can see these. Those are just nice and smooth ones there. And we can see how it looks very fluid. That's how you can effortlessly get that power. Do about 10 to 15 of those. Once you feel comfortable with it, let's get the same feeling without moving our feet. Here, you're gonna feel like you unweight your left heel. Lift your left heel just barely off the ground. As I start to complete my backswing, or as I complete my backswing, weight goes left, then I swing down. So as I'm putting weight into my left side, I do feel effortless with the hands and arms here. I'm not flicking at the hands and arms. I'm not rushing the swing from the top. I'm just getting my weight left, then I'm gonna swing down. You can do that exact same thing when you're actually making a swing with the ball. I'm gonna go ahead and lift my heel here a little bit. I'm gonna push into my left heel, then I'm gonna start my downswing. So it looks like this. And I'll go ahead and give this one a good rip. Let's see if we can get over the last swing speed. There we go. I couldn't hit one any better than that. That one's gonna be way up there. So probably around the same swing speed, but that one probably carried a good 310, 315, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so 124 mile per hour on the club head speed there. Total distance went up a little bit, 326.
Okay, so that one perfectly synced up. I didn't feel like I rushed from my hands and arms. I got that weight shifting forward first, then I swung. If you're swinging 80 miles an hour right now, those same drills are gonna help you to get to 90. Once you get to 90, try to get up to 100. So it doesn't matter if you're swinging really slow or really fast, those same principles apply to everybody. So we've got to get that weight shift first. Now, Q, one of the big mistakes I see, other than waiting way too long in the downswing to get the weight shift, is kind of getting that club steep, getting it over the top. And then, you know, when that club gets steep, now I feel like I gotta, again, all hands and arms, everything's all out of whack, you know, so what do we do from there?
Yeah, so that's the big key there. The first thing was getting that good weight shift. That's how we get everything started. But if we get steep, if you just want to go at the top of the swing, and then get a little bit steep in the transition. So in the start there, steep, basically what that means is this, we're getting this club in a more of a vertical place. So when you're right here in the downswing, you see that's pointing well inside the golf ball here.
Yep.
When you get in this kind of position, you either have to continue to either come down over the top, and that's you're gonna kill your distance, hit a bunch of slices and pulls and things like that when you do that.
Chopping down into it too, yeah.
You know, lose a ton of distance when you do that. Or what we see often players do, you know, especially good players who are good at getting the club on plane, is what we'll do is we'll actually stand up. And what that does is that raises the handle, that drops the head. Now that club is on plane as you're coming through. But what happens is we have to stand up in the downswing, and we know what that means when you stand up, right? Early extension, you're gonna flip at the golf ball. You're gonna lose a ton of power.
That's block city.
Yeah.
Those balls are going that way when you start standing up.
Blocks,
at least the
hooks.
ones when you're doing bad swings.
Yeah,
you know?
really, really tough to control. So what we want to do is we really need to get that club in a nice shallowed out position. So if you go back to that steep position again, we need to get this club shallowing out here where the butt end of the club is pointing outside the golf ball. So we're going to need to feel this elbow coming into the body here, your trail elbow. You're going to need to feel your lead elbow kind of pointing in the same direction as the shaft, pointing outside the golf ball. You're also going to want to feel like your wrists are kind of turning this way, almost like you're turning a doorknob to the right. You know, from Clay's point of view, my point of view here, we're turning the doorknob to the right. From your view, it's going to be to the left. But that's the kind of feeling. That's what's going to get all that nice and shallowed out. And then from there, it's really, really intuitive from there to be able to just rotate into the golf ball and use that great weight shift that we just got to be able to get a lot of speed and power. So Clay, how about on this one? Why don't you try a steep one where you kind of show what happens when we get a little bit of steepness in the transition, and then we'll do one where we get it nice and shallowed out.
I'll be honest with you, I really struggle getting any of them steep because I feel like I lose complete awareness of where the club is. I mean, I can hit them kind of anywhere. So I'll try to get this steep and then kind of let it shallow late like I see a lot of players do. I'll do my best effort at that at least. Yeah, and there, I felt like I tried to save it. When I first hit that ball, my natural reaction was, oh, I think I hit that one pretty good. And I would have thought that was a pretty straight shot, but you just lose awareness of where this club head is. I can't tell if it's going 50 yards right or 50 yards left. What happened on that one? Obviously I saw it hooked way to the left.
Yeah.
But was the swing speed's probably down too, because now I'm making all these compensations?
Yeah, so 110 miles per hour and the club head speed went quite a bit down. Got some pretty good distance at it, but that's just gonna be so hard to control when it's coming in steep like that.
Yeah, so when you're doing that, when you have this club that's steep, it's not saying you can't hit some great shots. You may hit some fantastic shots. You may even be a good player that's doing this, but man, it's really reliant on the timing. It's really a lot tougher to get that ball, that club squared up at impact. So let's put that together with what we talked about in the first part. I gotta get that weight shift to the left. So again, let's make it really, really simple here. All you need to feel like you're doing is when you're about halfway into your backswing, start to get your weight going to the left side. Once your weight feels like it's on your left foot, then you make your downswing. Don't feel like your arms rush from the top. As you're feeling like you're really nice and soft, as you're beginning to go to the left, let that club shallow out. Get that right elbow in like Q talked about. Get these hands, feel like they're turning the doorknob to the right, like he's talking about. Then you're gonna be in a great position to start the downswing. So engage the lower body first, engage the weight shift first. Feel like the arms are soft, then go ahead and let it rip. The final piece there is once I'm in this good position, my weight is to the left, my club is shallow, I'm really loaded up, tons of lag here. Now I can just hammer at that ball as hard as I want to. My body's in the perfect position to hit really nice, solid, straight shots. So let's go ahead and hit one more here, putting it together. Weight shift, soft arms in the shallowing, and then just go ahead and let it fly. There we go. And on that one, even on that one, a little low on the heel, not even the best swing, but what felt like a bad swing was still in the fairway versus what felt like a good swing being kind of left and right and all over the place. What are the numbers on that one?
So about 122 miles per hour and 311 total distance.
Yeah, so pretty daggone good for a miss hit. That's what you can get when you're getting the correct technique, you get the right sequence, even your miss hits are gonna be a lot better. Now, if you do this drill, I bet you're gonna get that weight shift pretty easily. You're gonna start going to the left, you're gonna feel like you put some pressure in this foot and then you rotate down. You're probably not gonna have very much trouble with that. The place where you might have some trouble is that shallowing out. That is counterintuitive, especially if you have a reflex where you really wanna hit hard from the top, you wanna steepen up the club, you wanna start casting it out. That can be something that's a little bit counterintuitive for you. I have a great bonus video from The Move where I talk about one of the easiest ways you can shallow out that club, get it in this slot, and make it to where you don't even have to think about it. It just comes natural. Once you start hitting those from being in the slot, it's a feeling you'll never want to go back to. You won't be able to steepen the club even if you try. I'm gonna play a preview of that video here in a second. All you need to do is go ahead and just click the card that pops up on the screen or the link down below in the description. So if you don't see those cards, just click the link. You're gonna get instant access to that video, and I'm gonna share you even a few more secrets on how to get that club in the slot once and for all. Let's go and get started. Good player problems. We're gonna talk about shallowing that club shaft out as we're starting down, as we're doing this rotating of the face that we worked on in the last video. As we start this downswing, what you'll see with basically all of the top players is instead of coming kind of over the top and letting the hands come out away from their body, letting the club come out away from their body, again, coming down steep into the ball and then having to open up, kind of fillet open the face and add loft to it. The flattening of the shaft should happen as soon as we start down. So as we start this downswing, what we want to have happening here, you can imagine that if I draw a line from the hosel of my club up through my right elbow, that's my swing plane line, my elbow plane. As I go to the top of the swing, I'm going to be slightly above that. And then as I start down, I want my hands to start to shallow out. I want the club to shallow out inside of this elbow plane. And at the same time, I'm going to be